Hello, friends. This is Manoj Paptani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edupedia world. Are you revising your topics time and again because it's extremely important? I just hope you are doing so. So, with that kind of hope, belief, and enthusiasm, let's begin this particular presentation. We have been talking and understanding the concepts relating to the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. So, this is the part 4 of this presentation, and I'll be discussing with you about some of the exciting topics with respect to this chapter. So let's head start with this presentation. Fasten up your seatbelts. We are about to take off. Perfect. With the first topic, and that will be repatriation. So guys, before entering into any of the further details about repatriations, realization and other stuff, let's first understand and get the clarity what does repatriation actually means first of all. So repatriate to India basically means bringing into India the realized foreign exchange and then selling that particular exchange, that foreign exchange which you are bringing into India, to an authorized person in India in exchange of rupees, or the holding of the realized amount in account with the particular authorized person in India to the extent which has been notified by the Reserve Bank of India. The meaning of repatriation is covered under section 2 subsection Y of the Foreign Exchange Management Act. So repatriations, guys, basically simply mean with that kind of a philosophy or thing wherein the person has been living outside India, okay, and while coming into India, okay, for permanency or let's say temporary basis on for a few days membership or visit for the country. So these person usually bring out and bring back into India or some of the realized foreign exchange. Okay, they need to take care of their survival as well over here. So what do they do? Usually they bring out dollars into India and then they convert the same into rupees so that they can have a living in India with those rupees. Okay, and by the time they feel like okay, now it's a time to go back to their nation, so they just go with the kind of while exchanging the rupees again back to their own foreign exchange. So wherever a situation arises wherein the person has been staying outside India, okay, and he wishes to repatriate to India will basically mean that he or she is going to bring into India the realized foreign exchange. And first of all, what's going to be done? So they need to sell that particular foreign exchange to an authorized person who has been appointed by RBI, okay, in India in exchange of rupees, or they may hold that realized amount in an account with the authorized person to the extent which has been notified by RBI. So this particular repatriate back to India is also it also includes the use of realized amount for discharge of some kind of debt or liability which is denominated in foreign exchange. Let's suppose before coming to our nation that particular person is having some of the debt with respect to some of the property or asset in India itself, okay, and they have been in a kind of a condition where they need to pay the amount in dollars or pound sterling or something, some other currency, foreign currency. So repatriate to India will also include the use of that particular realized amount in order to discharge that debt or liability which is denominated in foreign exchange as well. So that will also include this thing. So the meaning of repatriation is, guys, completely clear to you. It simply means bringing into India the realized foreign exchange and to sell that particular foreign exchange to a person who is authorized person in India in exchange of rupees, or they can hold that realized amount in an account with an authorized person in India to the extent which has been notified by the Reserve Bank of India. So that's about the meaning of repatriation. Now the next important thing is about the realization and repatriation of foreign exchange. So guys, this is the same thing which is covered under section 8 of Foreign Exchange Management Act, where any amount of foreign exchange is due or has accrued to a person resident in India. Such person resident in India shall take all the reasonable steps to realize and repatriate to India the whole amount of such foreign exchange within the period specified by RBI in the manner specified by RBI. So that is something which is extremely required. I'll illustrate you the same thing which I just talked upon with you with the help of an example. Supposedly, you are an IT professional. Okay, there in a country like India, there are so many IT professionals who are working like anything in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and many other areas of India. So you have a business wherein you get directly your commissions or your IT professional services in, let's say, dollar. Okay, you directly get the same thing into dollar. Okay, so if in case you are earning your basic bread and butter in some amount of foreign exchange, be it dollar, pound sterling, or some other thing, okay, and you are a person who is resident in India. Why? Because you are living in Hyderabad or Bangalore, so you are again a person resident in India. If in case you get any of the amount of foreign exchange which is like due to you or has been like accrued, and you are about to get that particular amount in your bank account or your deposits account, so then in that case, you as that IT professional, you being the person resident in India, you will take all the reasonable steps to first of all realize that foreign exchange, and then you need to repatriate to India back that amount, okay, which is the whole amount of the foreign exchange within the period which is being specified by RBI and in the manner which has been like specified by RBI in that case. So that is going to be the case in this particular repatriation and realization of foreign exchange. So you need to realize that you actually earn that foreign exchange and repatriate back to India. And simple, by repatriating, I simply mean that you need to exchange that foreign exchange with the authorized person in exchange of rupees. So you need to earn your bread and butter again. You can spend those amount and bucks only in rupees. So you need to bring in that foreign exchange and get it converted or exchanged with the help of the authorized person. So that is something which is being, I just provided to you in terms of some example. So that is the realization and repatriation of foreign exchange, where any amount of foreign exchange is due or has accrued to the person resident in India. Such person resident in India shall take all the reasonable steps to realize and repatriate to India the whole amount of such foreign exchange within the period specified by RBI in the manner specified by RBI. Perfect, guys. I hope you guys got complete clarity with respect to the meaning of repatriation along with its realization as well. Perfect. Let's move to the next topic. Duties of a person resident in India with respect to repatriation. So, the same person who is going to get the proceeds in my last example, okay, he is a IT professional and he is about to get some of the receipts in foreign exchange from outside India, that is abroad. So in that particular case, what are the different kind of duties of that particular person resident in India with respect to repatriation? So what are some of the do's and don'ts for him while he or she receives the foreign exchange? So first thing, that is, the person resident in India shall not do, or I should say he should refrain from doing anything which results in a reduction or cessation of whole or part of the export proceeds receivable by him. So let's understand this particular duties one by one. So you being the IT professional, you should ensure and adhere to all those guidelines in order to ensure that you don't get indulged into any of the activities wherein there are some of the chances that your overall complete proceeds, I'm talking about complete proceeds or part of those proceeds, is going to get hampered, reduced or ceased in that case. So you don't tend to get indulged in any of those activities, you just not do. Okay, so you shall not do or refrain from doing anything which results in the reduction or cessation of that particular whole or part of the export proceeds which is receivable by him. Okay, because the government is deeply concerned about this thing, that they want foreign exchange to come to our country. We as Indians, we need the foreign exchange because our economy is though it's growing steadily, however, having said that, it's much weaker as compared to dollars, pounds, because nowadays we are seeing that dollar is like almost 68 rupees. So 67, 68 rupees, that's huge. There was once a time wherein dollar and rupee started their journey at the same level. Okay, then 1 rupee was equivalent to $1 during that moment of time. So see, the daddy dollar has went up to like 68. Now still we are working on one. So we as a nation of like growing nation, we need to have this kind of idea wherein our government is immensely concerned about the foreign exchange reserves. So the person resident in India shall not do or refrain from doing any of the stuff which results in reduction or cessation of the whole or part of the export proceeds which are receivable by him. Next, or in case the same is going to get delayed, the receipt is going to get delayed of that particular export proceeds beyond some specific time. So again, that shouldn't be the case. So PRI should refrain from doing any of the thing which is going to delay the receipt of those export proceeds beyond the specific time. And the third, that he shall not do or refrain from doing anything which results in the receipt of export proceeds otherwise than in the specified manner. So it was like, let's suppose while providing the services, you get into a contract with that person that I'll be getting the export proceeds in this specified manner. So again, that should be your prerogative, wherein you shall not do any of the stuff, or you should refrain from doing any of the thing wherein that receipt of export proceed is going to be like obtained otherwise than in the specified manner in which you agreed upon at the initial phase. So that should also be the case. So you shall not do or refrain from doing anything which results in reduction or cessation of the whole or part of the export proceeds receivable by him, or delaying the receipt of export proceeds beyond a specified period, or receipt of export proceeds otherwise than in the specified manner. So these are the major three duties of person resident in India with respect to anything related to repatriation. I hope you guys got the complete clarity for the same thing clearly. Perfect, guys. Let's move to the next topic, and that will be the exemptions from realization and repatriation. The same is being covered under section 9, and a question has like also been asked in one of the CA final examinations that was asked in May 2012 with respect to the same topic. So guys, RBI has provided you some of the like relaxation in terms of the exemption from realization and repatriation of the foreign exchange into India. So they have like provided you a list of transactions wherein you can have this limit based system with respect to these transactions, and you need not go to any of the authorized person and convert or exchange the foreign exchange into Indian rupees up to that limit. So they have like provided some of the exemptions in that particular stuffs. So the question was asked in CA final for May 2012 as well. Number one comes in as the possession of foreign currency or foreign coins. So it has been like mentioned and specified by RBI that a person is free, a person is exempted from realization and repatriation into India via the exchange with authorized person. So they may possess the foreign currency or foreign coins up to the limit which is being specified by RBI. So that is one thing. They can keep it with them. That might be 5,000 rupees, equivalent to 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees. That depends upon the limit which has been fixed and specified by RBI. So that is number one, possession of foreign currency or foreign coins up to that limit. So you can keep it with yourself. Next, holding amount in foreign currency account in specified manner. So again, you are a person resident outside India, or you usually have these kind of trips. Okay, and accordingly you hold some of the amount in your foreign currency account. Next time whenever you wish to go for US or Britain, so you need to have that account. Obviously anyone would actually prefer to have. Why? Because that's you are a daily goer basis, have that kind of a transaction system over there. So you need to ensure that your vacation or maybe your business trips actually don't get hampered. So the government has actually like provided you some kind of relaxation on the same thing. So RBI has provided you the relaxation accordingly up to the limit which has been specified on time to time basis on different intervals. So you may hold the amount in foreign currency account in that case in some specified manner which is being specified by RBI. Next will be the foreign exchange acquired from employment services honorarium. So again, you were working outside. Gulf countries are like providing immense amount of opportunities to Indians. Okay, supposedly they go on over there. Okay, for employment or services basis, you get some amount of foreign exchange from there. Okay, so what are you going to do? You just bring out that kind of realization and repatriation of the same foreign exchange into India and get the same converted with AP. However, there is a catch in this particular thing. There is a limit. Okay, up to which you can keep that foreign exchange which you acquired from your employment services honorarium with yourself, and that particular limit is specified by RBI. So that is the third thing which is included under the list of exemption from realization and repatriation. The fourth one will be the foreign exchange which is acquired before 8th July 1947. So that's a very long back kind of a time, and this may include any of the income which is arising thereon after it as well. So as a very general and a special kind of a permission which is being granted by RBI, after obtaining the same thing, you can keep that foreign exchange which you or your forefathers acquired before 8th July 1947 along, with you itself. So that's a relaxation which has been like provided. So that might be a case because during that particular time many of the like foreigners like we got independence during that particular year. So we got independent in 15th August. So accordingly, technically during that moment of time there was a mass kind of revolts and other things were going on. So that was at the last stage of getting the things on the final documented paper as far as the freedom of India and its Pakistan is also concerned. So during that moment of time this pact was signed, and the foreign exchange which was acquired before 8th July 1947 was being like included under the list of general and special permission exemption which has been granted by RBI. So that is again a thing. Next will be the foreign exchange acquired by way of gift or inheritance from that person who acquired such foreign exchange before 8th July 1947 with that general and special permission of RBI, no limit. So again, I just classified that same example in the earlier one itself. So you or your forefathers, any of the cases. Okay, so you got the foreign exchange during that particular moment of independence. Okay, so the same thing is being like allowed as far as this exemption from realization and repatriation is concerned. So there is no limit on that. And the last one, any kind of other receipt which is being classified under the list of exemption with respect to realization and repatriation, as far as the same thing is being specified by RBI. So any other thing which RBI feel like that they should now exempt from the list of realization and repatriation, so they may do so. So number one, possession of foreign currency or foreign coins up to the limit specified by RBI. Number two, holding amount in foreign currency account in specified manner up to the limit specified by RBI. Number three, foreign exchange acquired from employment services honorarium up to the limit specified by RBI. Number four, foreign exchange acquired before 8th July 1947 including any income arising thereof as per the general and special permission which is being granted by RBI. Number 5, foreign exchange acquired by way of gift, inheritance from a person who acquired such foreign exchange before 8th July 1947 or with some kind of general or special permission of RBI. There is no limit on that, and any other receipt as specified by RBI. I hope you guys got a complete clarity as to what are the different kind of items which are being covered under the exemption list from any kind of realization or repatriation. The same was covered under section 9, and the same question was asked in C final examination for May 2012 as well. Let's move towards our next topic. So that is on consequences of contravention of act. Section 13 basically briefly narrates provides you a brief thing about consequences of the contravention of act. Obviously, if an act has been made, so technically the lawmaker was like pretty much convinced with the fact that not every person is going to fulfill each and every condition which has been like provided in the act itself. So obviously, technically, with each and every kind of incorporation of any of the act and with its levy, there comes some of the consequences in case of default as well. So with all the persons who are following rules, there are some of the defaulters as well. So what are some of the consequences if in case there is a breach of act or if there is a contravention in act? The same thing is being covered under section 13. So section 13 is going to provide you the consequences of contravention of act. First of all, the first thing, and that will be when will be the penalty levied. So once the same is being levied, then it becomes payable. So when a penalty gets levied, penalty will be levied if contravention of the act is committed. One, or contravention is committed by of any of the condition of authorization which is issued by RBI. Let's suppose the person who was appointed to take care of as basically the authorized person, he basically committed a kind of a contravention with respect to any of the condition with which duly he was authorized and issued by RBI. So what will happen? So in that particular case, penalty will be levied. So number one, if anything happens with relation to any of the contravention of the act is committed, or contravention is committed for any of the condition of authorization which is issued by RBI. So this is the time when penalty will be levied. Now the next thing which comes into the picture will be what will be the amount of penalty. So number one, it will be up to 3 times the sum involved in contravention. Number two, up to rupees 2 lakh if the amount involved in contravention is just not quantifiable. It might be possible that in some of the scenarios the RBI is just not able to quantify the amount which is being involved in contravention. So what's going to happen? The maximum ceiling has been fixed. Okay, so up to 2 lakh rupees can be charged as an amount of penalty in that case. And the last one, that will be up to rupees 5,000 rupees per day where the contravention is continuing. So in case of any of the continuing default, so rupees 5,000 per day will be charged as an amount of penalty. So up to 3 times the sum involved in contravention, up to rupees 2 lakh if the amount is just not quantifiable which is being involved in contravention, and up to rupees 5,000 per day where the contravention is continuing. Next will be the payable thing. So when it should be payable, penalty shall be payable only upon adjudication under section 14. So once the rule and the complete case is being adjudicated by the officer, appellate tribunal, or SAD, so SD appeals once. So after getting the adjudication done for that particular penalty, then only it can be it shall become payable only upon that. So that same thing is being covered under section 14. And in addition to laying and levying the penalty, so there are some of the things which are being which needs to be covered. So confiscation is one of the things. So confiscation of currency is one thing. So in order to in addition to levy of penalty, the adjudicating officer authority, okay, has a discretion to make any of the following orders. They can confiscate your currency first of all. So any currency, security, or any other money, property in respect of which contravention has taken place, that might be and may be confiscated first of all. And next, they may issue some of the directions. So foreign exchange holdings of the accused person may be ordered to be brought back into India. So that's again their discretion. So they can confiscate the currency and they can issue the directions as well. So that's about the consequences of the contravention of the act. The same thing is being covered under section 13. That includes levy. Levy will be done when the contravention of act is done, or there has been contravention of any of the guidelines or conditions of authorization. So then the penalty will be levied. The amount will be 3 times the sum involved in contravention, or up to rupees 2 lakh if the amount involved in contravention is just not identifiable, or up to rupees 5,000 per day if the contravention is continuing. When will be the same payable? The same will be payable only upon adjudication of under section 14. In case there have been instances wherein you get the adjudicating authority basically gets the chance to impose something in addition to the levy of penalty, then they have got a right to confiscate the currency and issue some of the directions as well. I hope you guys got the complete clarity with respect to this consequences as well. So I'll be concluding with this presentation with a dose of motivation, and that will be, in order to attain the impossible, one must attempt the impossible. First of all, that's the first and the foremost thing will be required. This quote was being mentioned by Miguel de Cervantes. Perfect, guys. I hope that's pretty much clear to you. Do revise your topics time and again because that's extremely necessary. Thank you on behalf of the Edupedia world. Keep interacting via questions, queries, and YouTube comment boxes. We love to answer your queries and grievances. Stay connected, that will help us in understanding your needs way better.